There's something about an anti-hero that has always appealed to me. Maybe I've watched too many cowboy movies growing up. Maybe I don't like following rules. Either way, Frank Castle has always been a shining star to what it is to be an anti-hero for me. A man that when he decides that something needs to die, he becomes virtually unstoppable, overcoming all obstacles to reap the justice or revenge as he sees fit. If you're new here, welcome. I'm the Archangel. If you're returning, I promise I'll get Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance 2 video done someday. In this video, I'll be playing the 2005's The Punisher game, that is a movie tie-in, kinda, to the movie of the same name from 2004. I will be playing as a casual player and will talk about game mechanics, storyline, music, bugs, or the lack of any of above. This is your spoiler warning for both the movie and the game. I played this game for the first time probably around 2007 on the Xbox. This is the first game that I remember beating by myself. For this playthrough, I played on a PS2 of sorts. I emulated it. It's not worth buying $100 for a solid copy of a 20-year-old game. Yes, I am a cheap bastard, and since we don't own games and all that, I played the game on normal difficulty and I used no cheats or exploits. In 2004, we were given one of my favorite portrayals of Frank Castle, with Thomas Jane as the face of the vigilante. Although this movie had mostly negative reviews, currently holding a 29% on Rotten Tomatoes, and only grossing about 55 million worldwide, in comparison, and I know it's not a fair one, Troy was released 1 month later and grossed close to 500 million. So how did a movie that was considered a flop get its own game? And the answer is, I have no idea. From what I can find, development for the game had been started by a company called Muckyfoot, which made the Blade 2 video game. Yeah, I didn't know that existed either. After Muckyfoot went under, the project was cancelled. THQ at the time owned the rights to make a Punisher video game. Volition, which is most known for its Saints Row games, and Red Faction, being owned by THQ, was looking for a new video game to develop, all while the movie was also in production. During a pitch meeting, the discussion about playing as a bad guy came up and the idea of the Punisher was born. Many of the team were already huge Punisher fans, bringing in their own personal comic book collections to use as references. Volition also hired on Gareth Ennis and Jimmy Palmiotti, who were the original writers of Welcome Back, Frank, the Punisher run that the movie and the game are mostly based on. The team also got the opportunity to go to the set of the movie, meet and work with the actors, and the team was given a lot of creative freedom in the game, leading to a melting pot of the best from the comic and the 2004 movie. The Punisher started as a first-person shooter, but the decision to switch to third-person was a swift one. The thought was that people would want to see the Punisher. I mentioned earlier how this was kinda a tie-in, and everything above is why. This is as complete of a development cycle as I've been able to piece together. Game Informer has a video on Volition, but they only talk shortly on the Punisher game. And the Volition YouTube has one video of the original artists and designers of the game playing it for a stream. Both companies have since closed, making finding more information on the project next to impossible.
Last bullet. My whole family died in a mob hit. I should have died too. I took enough bullets, but I lived. I finally figured out why. The ones who killed my family, the Saints, and all the other scum. They've given me a reason to live. I'm back. And it's their turn to die.
This sets up the game perfectly, giving you all you really need to know and understand the motivations for this man. Frank's family was murdered, and he's simply out for punishment. Thomas Jane was a perfect voice for this character, and I love that he did the movie and the game. He's also the voice of Colt, the protagonist for Gun.
Time to get moving. Still more to do. Takagi's taken care of, but others are harder to reach.
And don't do anything stupid.
After the intro cinematics, we are sent to Castle's apartment. This is the game's hub, and we will be sent back here after each mission. I'll take more time to look at this later. Going to what Castle calls his war zone, we will select our first mission, which picks up where the intro left off. And we get an introduction to Detective Soap, voiced by Michael Goh, whose voice you may recognize as Commissioner Gordon from Ark and Origins, or maybe Deckard Cain from Diablo.
Welcome to Ryker's, Mr. Castle. Accommodations to your liking? I'm Detective Soap.
And he has many other voice credits from games like Skyrim, Diablo, MW3, Jedi Survivor, and a plethora more. And Lieutenant Ricknoff.
Hey, Castle? How many people have you killed in the last few weeks?
Not sure. There were a lot of explosions.
Voiced by Nika Futterman.
And before you go down to the comments and say, well, the Wikipedia says that as Julia Nixon. Yes, it does say that on the Wikipedia, but the IMDb has it credited to Nika, so I'm going to trust IMDb over Wikipedia. Who you may recognize from Star Wars Clone Wars, as she was the voice of Ventress. She also has the voice of Hela in the new Marvel Rival games, along with over 300 other voice credits. These are what I would consider the three main characters for our game. The detectives are both characters from the Punisher comics, showing up in volumes 4 and 5. Ricknoff was put in charge of a Gnucci family task force for not sleeping with her boss, and Soap was dropped on his head as a baby and now runs the task force in charge of catching the Punisher. The detectives are grilling Castle on what would lead up to his coming into police custody after the murder of the Yakuza members in the opening. This is how the story of the game will be told. It's Frank walking the detectives through the days leading up to his arrest. We will be bouncing between this interrogation of Frank at Richter's Island and the gameplay itself. This leads us into the crack house mission. After some inner monologue about how shitty New York is, we gain control of the Punisher.
When the darkness falls, you're laid open so the world can rummage in your guts. Just because the mayor chased away the monsters, chased them to Brooklyn and the Bronx, don't think this place has changed. Not in its heart. Not where it lives. Do not fall in New York City. No one's gonna catch you.
Bottom left red bar is health, blue is slaughter mode, top right is the mission score. The more kills you get without getting hit will give you bonuses as well as doing special kills for the points. This also decides the mission rank, bronze, silver, gold, and the points you gain here will also be used for upgrades later. Walking forward, a hooded man begins to harass a lady of the night, and we have a tutorial pop up. X to grab enemies. I'm using an Xbox controller, so I walked up and pressed X and I slit his throat. Ah yes, I'm stupid. I had forgotten this. When close to an enemy, you can grab them by pressing X, or a quick kill by pressing square. I'll be pressing square a lot. The prostitute thanks Castle.
Hey, you're the Punisher! Thanks, man.
For what?
For saving my life?
Right.
This inner monologue and the interaction with the nice lady are both actually from the comics. I'm not going to do a lot of side-by-side comparisons, but Always Nerdy has a video called A Brutal Masterpiece where he shows a lot more comparisons between the game and the comics. Definitely recommend checking that out. As a Punisher fan, I love this. When Marvel lets fans who are passionate and knowledgeable use their license like this, we always get more than we knew we wanted. I'm also sure having the original writers on the project helped feed into that a lot. After helping the nice lady, we see someone get chucked out of our local crack house. Sneaking into the basement door, we see a drug dealer sitting at a table of pizza, and another tutorial tip is prompted. Enemies with white skulls over their heads have useful information that can be extracted from them. You can interrogate any one of the scum you find in the game, but the ones with the white skulls help flesh out the story, can help you avoid ambushes, or help you find weapon caches you wouldn't normally find. To interrogate, you can grab a gang member and press X. This will bring up 4 default interrogation options, which you can select using either analog stick. The options being choke, gun tension, punch, or face smash. When interrogating, a bar will pop up on the left side. This shows the enemy's health and stress level. Applying pressure will move the blue bar. The goal is to keep the blue bar in the yellow area. Hold the blue bar in the red for too long, or applying too much pressure to an enemy will result in you killing them. Successfully breaking an opponent will result in bonus points to your score, as well as health for Castle. This is the only way to regen health while in combat. No health packs, no meds, nothing like that. You must torture a man to feed Frank's bloodlust. For the interrogations, I used mostly choke. It is the easiest for me not to accidentally unalive people. After extracting information that the leader of the drug dealers is upstairs, I dispose of the human shield and move on to a closed door. Most closed doors can be kicked open, or you can throw a human shield through them, normally surprising whoever's on the other side, giving you an advantage. It is also fun just to listen to the goons talk about whatever they are talking about when they think no one is listening.
How's he gonna find out? You gonna tell him?
Shit, no. But you gotta stop getting high when we come over here.
Shut up, asshole. I'm freaking...
R1 shoots your main gun. When dual wielding, L1 shoots the gun in the left hand, while R2 is a Max Payne-like dive. R3 will do a slight zoom. Scoped weapons you can click twice, and it will switch to a scope. While slaughtering my way through the drug dealers, my slaughter meter... oh, I guess that's why it's called that, becomes full, and I am prompted to press triangle to enter slaughter mode. During slaughter mode, the screen will turn black and white, while Castle pulls out his knives and becomes an invulnerable and gains his health back. R1 will throw knives, while Square will do a quick kill, and these are the only options. Break speed is increased while becoming an unstoppable murdering machine. As you take damage, the slaughter meter will drop faster, and you can refill this by performing higher scoring kills. In the next room, we find multiple drug dealers threatening an innocent. Most innocents can be saved and add to your score. Shredding 2 of the 3 dealers, the third cowers, and we are directed to an orange skull. These are special kills or special execution areas. These are just fun ways to kill your enemies, and they give you massive bonus points. I don't feel like there are enough of these in particular in the game, honestly. Moving up to the next floor, we find another thug that has information in a window with a matching white skull. This is a special interrogation spot. There are about 70 different types of these over the course of the game. If you haven't noticed, the interrogations are a staple of this game, and they were very controversial for the time. The interrogations were so bad that the ESRB wanted to label the game as adult only, which would not allow the game to be sold on any Sony or Microsoft platforms. But the team knew that this was going to be a problem and submitted the game early for review, and were very easy to work with for the ESRB, knowing that they were making an over-the-top violent game. Some of the changes are that if you kill a thug during interrogation, the shot will become black and white while the camera pans away. For the PC version, there are mods that take these pans away so that the game can be seen as it was originally going to look. The ESRB pushback was more than understandable. 70 different ways to interrogate? You can do something as simple as smashing a man with a window, to threatening sharks and piranhas, to acid, to a cremation chamber, to a wood chipper. You will be searching for them every time someone pops up with a white skull over their head, because that means that there's probably a special interrogation close by. Reaching the top of the building, we find Damage, the ringleader of this drug operation. After dangling him off the edge, he tells us that he was actually tipped off we were going to be here. I love that he has change falling out of his pockets. As we leave the building, someone tries to run Castle over, ending the mission, which brings us back to our apartment. I've always liked that the apartment is the hub area. The castle doesn't have a hideout or a mansion, it's just a shitty apartment with Polaroids of bad guys and guns. Simple man, simple place. There are a few different things to look at here. The war zone is where Frank goes to drop into Verdansk and tries to stay out of the gulag. I'm not proud of that joke. The war zone is where we go to select the missions we want, where we choose what loadouts we're going to be taking, or selecting the challenges for the map. The armory is where we can see the unlocked weapons that you've gotten from completing missions, along with a short description. We can also hear what Frank thinks about each one of these. This setup is actually the one that inspired the one I have in my basement. I'm kidding, I lost all my guns in a boating accident. Upgrades are where you spend the points that you earned during the missions, upgrading things like ammo capacity, health, and slaughter time. The war journal has 2 sections. A criminal chart, which is a corkboard of Polaroids of people Frank has hunted down or is hunting down, and the other is news clipping. Each time you complete a mission, a newspaper clipping from that day will be here. These are fun. Some look like cover-ups or smear jobs against the Punisher. Some are actual photos from comics, which are just fun touches. The last tab is extras, where you have your special unlocks and cheats are. Completing challenges or interrogating the right shitbag can unlock comic covers and special arts. While I've been looking around, Frank has found out that the car that tried to run him down is registered to a chop shop. So we're gonna go say hello. After interrogating this nice blue-haired man, we find out that the Gnucci lieutenant is running this place. Fighting my way to Carlo, I grab him for interrogation, and I accidentally dropped him in the car crusher. Oops. Well, no fail state, so I guess I just continue on. He did say something about Bobby Gnucci before he slipped. Frank is already well acquainted with the Gnucci family, so the loss of this lead doesn't seem to affect him much. He already knows where Bobby is, so we head to Lucky's bar. The intro to this section shows Soap at the bar, saying this is his favorite bar, and he gets nervous that the Gnuccis are there and heads to the bathroom to puke. As soon as he heads in there, Castle enters to wreak havoc. Castle, knowing that most Gnucci families wear body armor, reminds himself that this has to be a headshot. I love the way that they use Frank's inner monologue to help us as players move around maps or drop hints for upcoming challenges. Walking closer to Bobby's guards, the henchmen recognize Castle and open fire. During this gunfight, you can hear the detective puking in the bathroom, hurling his guts out. This is just never not funny to me. It's a great attention to detail. In the back pool room, Bobby has barricaded himself behind a couch and is armed with a revolver. How does this couch stop Castle? I don't... But anyway, Castle takes him out with a shotgun to the mouth. After Frank exits the building, Soap comes out of the bathroom seeing the chaos, just missing the man that his entire job is to catch.
Damn it, Castle. This was my favorite bar.
Acting fast after Bobby's death, Mom sends Bushwhacker, another villain from the comics, to kidnap Castle's neighbor Joan. Bushwhacker left a note saying to meet him at the zoo. Castle, knowing it's a trap, but won't let them kill someone whose only crime is being kind to him. The first thing I do when we get to the zoo is threaten a man with a wood chipper, because I can. As we work our way through the zoo, Bushwhacker will show up and taunt Castle with Joan. So I stop to shove this guy's head into the shitter. This game is fun. At the beginning of each mission, you can edit Frank's weapons that he takes with him. He has 2 slots, one for a larger weapon, like a shotgun or a rifle, and one for a smaller weapon, like his pistol. The sidearms are dual-wielded by default, but the larger weapons can also be dual-wielded. While chopping down the mobsters, you'll find their guns on the floor. Castle is more than willing to pick up a second rifle and go to town, though reloading will have you dropping the gun in your left hand and reloading the main one. This can lead to some really fun action sequences, and the option of when you're getting overwhelmed, you know, he who has more bullets wins, as they say. As we go through, there is an automated lady who is telling us about each exhibit. We find a man and threaten him with piranhas.
What's upstairs, little man?
Hands up, asshole! I got nothing to say. It's an ambush. Take me with you, and I'll tell him not to shoot you.
as she talks about them. I love this. The piranha interrogation is also a nod to a corresponding scene from the comics. This guy tells us that there is an ambush ahead and he can help us get through it, which he does, as we use him as a human shield and no one shoots at us. Then I execute him and run off. These spots where a bad guy is interrogated and broken helps us through a section are both interesting and lame. They do help break up the meaningless slaughter with what feels like Castle trying to be slightly more tactical, but there really is no reward for it, since we are only given points for killing and interrogating. But I suppose on harder difficulties, when ammo and health become harder to come by, this can be a much wanted reprieve. I find a sacrificial altar and appease the gods. I find some zoo guards who warn me of an ambush ahead where the Gnuccis want to drop an arch on me, forcing me to go through the animal exhibits. You can run through the arch, but the Gnuccis drop it on you and you die, and you restart. While running through the now dead animal exhibits, Frank makes a quip about killing all of these animals is low even for the Gnuccis. After punishing them for the senseless murder of innocent animals, the guard on the gate lets me through. In some scenarios, like with the guards here, if you save the innocents, they will grab weapons into the fight next to you, though Frank will beat himself up in his inner monologue if you don't keep them alive. I actually turned this guy into kebab with a rhino before he can answer my questions. It's an accident, I swear. This guy tells me of yet another ambush. No shit, this whole thing is a fucking trap, dude. I find out that an eel is actually an elongated fish, not a water snake, and can put out up to 600 volts.
Eel stuns its prey by discharging a shock of up to 600 volts.
And this guy says, trade him for Joan.
Own protection, do not touch the water.
Let her go or he dies.
Kill him! What do I care?
Please, boss, don't let me die.
Die like a man, Marco.
Well, this guy definitely oversold his worth.
Not much good alive, are ya?
My thoughts exactly. We come to the piranha exhibit, and Bushwhacker gives us a choice: catch him or save the girl. We choose Joan. Bushwhacker can wait for another day. Opening the door to the enclosure starts a timer. We have 3 minutes to figure out how to save Joan. Heading to the ladder, there is a man with a white skull. I wonder what he has to say. He tells us about the water shut-off leading to the piranha water, which drains the exhibit, saving Joan, ending the mission. Castle, knowing where the Gnuccis are having the funeral for Bobby, decides that it would be a great opportunity to take everyone out at once.
The whole Gnucci clan's gathering for Bobby's funeral. As good a place as any to hit them. With any luck, I'll get everyone from Ma on down.
That's her cop pulling up now. Tell the boys that Ma's here.
Should we bring in Bobby's casket now?
Show some respect. Wait till the old lady's seated.
It's a shame I could kill you only once, Bobby.
Dumping Bobby's body into a trash bin, he takes his place in the coffin. After bringing the coffin into the viewing room, you have the option to sit up, popping out of the coffin with an LMG, ripping the Gnucci fodder to pieces. No Ma and Eddie though, time to go hunting. The next room we head into is full of caskets, some with white skulls, some with orange.
No, it can't be.
Ew. Probably looks like a microwave after a Hot Pocket explodes in that thing. One of the thugs suggests that we check the basement after I smash his teeth in with a casket lid. I head to the basement, which is also the embalming / cremation / holding area for the bodies. I hope they don't mind if I add a few more. I throw this guy into a cremation chamber and ask where Ma and Eddie is.
There's just drugs down here, I swear! Hit the switch on the wall near the boiler, you'll see!
That's a smell you don't forget.
We blow up the drugs and continue the search. Heading back upstairs, we run into the mortician that owns this place.
Ooh, the Punisher. Don't shoot! I'm the mortician. I own this establishment. I'd like to thank you for all you've done for my family over the years. Your handiwork has put my 3 kids through college. Well, if you'll excuse me, I've got a mess to clean up.
I love this. Since I already checked the basement, only option is up. Did I mention that this game is fun? I use this guy's face to play piano till he tells me how to get into the attic, and I head up there to find Eddie Gnucci for a boss fight. Much like his brother, he has body armor. Unlike Bobby, he can run away. Eddie's taken care of, and we head to the Gnucci home estate to take out Ma. Sneaking into the garage, we are cut off by Bushwhacker, who blows us. Sneaking into the garage, we are cut off by Bushwhacker, who drops us into the cellar. I drop a wine case on this guy. These little environment kills don't happen often, but when they do, they're fun. While looking for the stairs, we find a guy in a cage. He tells us to let him out. Heading deeper down, we find the key to his cage and unlock the security gate for the building, along with a thug with valuable information, telling us the guy in the cage is a drug dealer who sold heroin to Ma's granddaughter. And we know what happens to people who sell drugs to kids around here. I like this. Like I said, the guys with the white skulls can help flesh out the story. If we hadn't interrogated this guy, we would have thought the one in the cage was just another innocent, which is great storytelling in my opinion. While carving my way through the house, I torture a random guy who says,
I'm gonna be a daddy.
No, you're not.
Fuck. This is the first time that I've actually felt like the bad guy. Then I make myself feel better by throwing this guy onto an elephant tusk. This is fun. I grab this and... God damn it. Some of these are just so touchy. At this point in the game, I am taking a lot of damage, where I have to stop and grab people to feed off of their fear like a vampire. I almost forgot to mention that Frank's wardrobe has changed. This is the first time that we see him out of his coat so far. There's no way to select the costumes for missions, and some have special ones. I'm sure if this was made today, there would be some sort of Spider-Man style costume setup, but the costume selection would have been cool for this game as a collectible or an unlockable. Reaching a library, Bushwhacker confronts us for a boss fight. Bushwhacker asks about John Saint, which is the son of Howard Saint, the antagonist from the 2004 movie. This is a fun little tie-in. Bushwhacker has an all-in-one weapon, shooting grenades and a machine gun. He will also grab henchmen and use them as a human shield. Waves of mobsters will come in, giving you and Bushwhacker plenty of ammo and meat shields. Bushwhacker is no slouch though, forcing us to run away and interrogate people to get health back. This feels a lot like a real boss fight. While interrogating a henchman for health, mentions that Bushwhacker has sensitive eyes. I've picked up some flashbangs. After we disarm Bushwhacker, we blow him out of the house. A fight with Bushwhacker has lit up the library, and now the house is on fire. And now we have a timer before we go down with it. After asking some people nicely to tell us how to unlock the door, we kill our way to Ma. That first step's a doozy, Ma. This interaction tells you everything you need to know about soap. And it's never not funny.
Proper application of bullets.
Except the drugs didn't stop flowing, did they, Castle? The Gnucci's had other ways of getting drugs from the city docks and out onto the streets.
It's just like Ulysses fighting that lion in Roman legend. Chop off one head, and two more appear.
Soap. That's Hercules fighting the Hydra, and it's a Greek legend.
Yeah, whatever. It's still a good metaphor.
Analogy.
Whatever.
Anyway.
Frank heads to the docks, knowing that from some of our nicely asked questions that Ma was working with the Russians, and the Russians are running the drugs to the docks. As we run down to the dock, we hear a female voice as she's taken away by the Russians for interrogation. I ask this nice Russian lad where they're holding her, as I open up this glass case with his face. Find the widow, and she tells us that there's a Russian nuke coming in, and she's here to make sure it doesn't get into the wrong hands. The Black Widow and Castle team up, as she now follows us and helps us kill the Russians. As we move forward, we come across a gunfight between the Russians and someone in suits. These are the Yakuza. After nicely asking one of the suits, saying that they are here to take over the docks. I feed a starving shark. I asked this guy about the nuke, but it must have slipped his mind. Then I asked this guy, and he said he hadn't heard of a nuke, only heard about that there's a tank. I use a crane to sink this boat. Hope the nuke wasn't on that thing.
Black Widow gets hit by a fucking tank round. Holy shit, I need her armor. The tank is a boss fight. Luckily, I have a grenade launcher to make quick work of it. The Black Widow is somehow not pudding right now. Tells us that there are 2 ships coming in, and one of them has the nuke. So she will search one and we get the other. Heading to our designated boat, Castle wants to sink it before it can get anywhere near the harbor. First I gotta help this guy stretch out some shoulder pain he's been having. Ugh. I find forever homes for some of the bombs and ask around about the nuke. Everyone says, ask the captain. While looking for the captain, we see that the Russians are trafficking women for their prostitution ring. This part of the mission takes place below deck, and you can hear the engines roaring the whole time, and it is unnecessarily loud.
The Punisher has been spotted in the cargo.
I had to turn down the sound. I use a forklift to ask this guy about the nuke. He says it's not even here, it's on an island. Perfect. Now to find and kill the captain. At this point in the game, we start to run into armored units. They can take a lot more damage and often carry LMGs, dealing a lot more damage. Through our very nice and safe conversations with the sailors, we find out that someone named Kirchhoff has the nuke on Grand Nixon Island. He has hired someone to kill us and that he doesn't trust the captain. I find the captain and shoot the woman he holds hostage, and I die for it, and then I have to run through the whole fucking boat again. After saving the girl, we head out on a Kodiak. We let her blow the boat up. I find this funny since Castle makes it a point to say we can't blow the boat until everyone is off. And we only have one girl with us. Did we leave her sister that was in the crate to start with? Did the rest of the women get off in life rafts? Little things like this bug me.
Well, Krieghoff sent one hell of a body after you, didn't he?
Now why would you just open your apartment door without first checking to see who was there?
Damn, Joan must have made another batch of cookies.
I love this. Why would you open the door? Must be cookies. It's the most human thing that I think we've seen out of Castle so far. This is one of my favorite missions just because it's all special executions and it's ripped straight out of the movie. This is the Russian, the man Krieghoff hired to kill you. He's voiced by Daryl Kurylo. I'm probably saying that wrong. Who also voiced Asher from Destiny and Kazuma, the protagonist of Yakuza. This fight is just fun. Avoid the Russian, jump on his back, run him into something, and then he throws you out. And then he throws you into the next room, then repeat. Until you toss him out the window.
До свидания. That's not good.
No shit. After being attacked in his home, Castle's back onto the hunt, and we are off to Grand Nixon Island to stop the nuke. Castle drops into the jungle of the island with this new outfit and some face paint. This is one of my favorite outfits, mostly because the skull face paint is just cool. I also believe that this is the first time that Castle has worn the skull as face paint ever in media. We are default equipped with a sniper, with a zoomable scope. I noticed that I can blow off limbs for the first time here, though I did shoot this guy in the left leg and his right leg flew off. I know I should just be happy that I can blow them off, but it does annoy me. I climb to the roof and take out some snipers and wonder if I can go in through one of these skylights, and yes, I can. The glass is breakable and you can fall through. I've also noted as enemies get better machine guns, they accidentally kill their comrades way more often, which leads to them saying funny things or apologizing after they kill their friendlies.
I'm sorry. Poor shot.
Is that the...
I sing a jingle and clean this ceiling fan with this guy's face.
Come with me over here, and I'll smash your fucking face in.
I want information right now.
Let me go, asshole!
The jungle can be so dusty. These fans remind me that there is a real-life company called Big Ass Fans, and their logo is a donkey. That's great marketing. Nothing to do with the game, but it's just something fun. Anyway, we hear that the Russians are being attacked from another part of the island. leading Frank to comment that we are not the only ones here. While sneaking up to the garage, we listen to some of the Russians talking about the other side of the island. It's being assaulted, but by agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I blow a hole in this wall and head up to link up with whoever S.H.I.E.L.D. sent. Also introduced to a new enemy type, armored stationary gun. These are pretty simple to beat, use a grenade, or just get to the side of them. They can also be used for interrogations. Running up to another walled compound, the gate gets blown off, and we get to meet the S.H.I.E.L.D. agent. It's Nick Fury. It also took me a minute to realize this, just because for the last 16 years he's been Samuel L. Jackson. Fury is voiced by Steve Blum. While having almost 900 voice credits, he's probably best known for voicing Zeb from Star Wars Rebels, Spike from the 2001 Cowboy Bebop movie, Wolverine in the Wolverine and X-Men series, and Starscream in the Transformer Prime series. He also was nominated 2014 and 2018 Voice Actor of the Year, and he's been a part of a lot of projects like Legend of Korra, Prey, Arkham Origins, and Shadow of Mordor. Fury is also here looking to stop the nuke. At this point, from interrogations, we know that they are planning to launch the nuke at New York. Krieghoff hates Americans, and outwardly encourages all of his men to just kill them, and that the nuke is supposed to be launched really soon.
What is the damned holdup? Pull your head out of your ass and get that missile active!
Sir, the procedure takes time.
If that nuke isn't armed in 30 seconds, I'm gonna use you as a condom!
Jesus Christ, this game is just fun. Fury runs in after Krieghoff, leaving Frank behind. We clear out the small fry, and Castle, not being one to get left out, goes to look for the Russian leader as well. We kind of do this boring gondola section. Nick corners Krieghoff and gets smacked by the Russian. This leads to a boss fight with the Russian again. Here, he pretends to play Donkey Kong through explosive barrels. This fight was a steep difficulty spike for me. The Russian will go to what I believe is one of 4 locations to get a barrel. Carry it close to you and light it and throw it. You have to shoot the barrel right after he lights it, causing it to explode in his hands. This is the only way to deal damage to him. There is no aim assist in this game. And maybe there may have been some kind of delay between my controller, but trying to hit these barrels with a sniper was unnecessarily hard. As the fight goes on, Russian thugs will spawn, giving you health and ammo. I accidentally died twice, trying to find out the best pattern to kill the Russian. If I stuck by the front gate, he would only go to 2 of the barrel locations, making it easier to pre-aim his throwing spots. After getting him to half health, we get a second phase of this fight, where he jumps down and begins to chase you while he's on fucking fire. While he is chasing you, there will also be barrels on this ground floor. Leading the Russian by them will have him light them on fire. Now just to keep him close enough to the barrel to be damaged by the explosion. I normally grabbed a meat shield and stood within a few feet, keeping the Russian close, and the shield taking the brunt of the damage. I light this guy on fire with the nuke. I find Krieghoff, or, well, he's dead. No monologue for you, sir. We lock the clamps on the nuke so it can't take off, and we commandeer this plane.
You set off that nuke? The official story is that it was a planned French test on an uninhabited island.
It's uninhabited now.
It's uninhabited now. Just goes fucking hard. Anyway, through our torture rampage, the Kingpin's name is dropped by both the Russians and the Gnuccis, so Castle thinks it's time for a meeting with the big guy. I walked away for a second and recorded this idle animation. There is just so much love in this game. They didn't need to do this. And then there's shit like this. I asked this guy if he knows how to turn the turrets off, and we meet Bullseye.
Thought you'd never get here, Castle. Looking for someone?
Where's Kingpin, Bullseye?
The big guy can't see you now, Castle, but I've made room for you in my schedule.
Get out of the way.
Or what? You'll scowl me to death? I don't miss, you know. Too bad you can't say the same.
Hard to miss a guy with a target on his forehead.
There's something about Castle's dry humor that always makes me chuckle. This clip is also a hint to how to beat Bullseye. Shoot him in the head. This is easier said than done because the motherfucker just backflips everywhere. And he also misses a lot. Choose a different name. I ironically use slaughter mode and start chucking knives at him, and I don't miss. After a few hits, he runs off. I also noticed during slaughter mode it sounds like children laughter.
Sucks to be you, Frankie.
Wanna play with knives? Let's play with knives. Fuck. Or pleads, leading me to believe that Frank throws himself into a rage, thinking about how his happiness was taken from him. Accidentally snapped this dude's neck. Then this guy makes a pathetic sound. Ah! Ah! I tell him to tell the guys ahead that I'm already dead and set up an ambush from the ceiling. I ask this guy why Bullseye's here, and he tells me it's because of his special armor. We have another encounter with Point Dex in an area that is under construction. This motherfucker is jumping around like Raiden from MGS2, and it's beginning to annoy me. At half health, he runs off again. This boss battle wouldn't be so annoying if I didn't feel like I was just pissing bullets into his face.
Crap, he's the one who kills me. Don't shoot me.
Who wrote this? I asked this guy how to get to the suite where Fisk is hiding. We climb the stairs and enter the suite, where we face off against Dex one last time. Same thing as before, except he has a revolver now and he misses less with that. Along with me having a few grenades, which will knock him down, allowing me to unload into his skull. After tossing Bullseye out the window, Fisk comes out of hiding.
Oh, Bullseye failed me again.
Fisk is voiced by David Sublov, who has an amazing voice. He has been in multiple Transformers, as well as The Flash and One Piece. Kingpin tells us that he didn't try to kill Frank and someone is trying to take down Fisk's organization by using Castle. Kingpin runs off as the building becomes under attack. After leaving the room, the Yakuza are swarming the building. Frank is now in the middle of a gang war.
That's a fucking shield right there. Tell me where the donuts
like someone who has information.
I'm funny. This guy says something about Jigsaw, which I feel like he's not supposed to, since we have no idea who Jigsaw is at this point. Like, the Yakuza just have a pool of interrogation lines, and that one was pulled out of order. We blow the front door and leave the building, heading back to Lucky's to meet our informant, who looks and sounds a lot like Soap.
Nice disguise. Subtle, inconspicuous.
Yeah, it might be funny to you, but I'm dead if they find out I talked to you.
He says Jigsaw is running the Yakuza gang and is moving in on Fisk. Puzzle pieces fall into place. We get a cameo from Daredevil. I buy some upgrades. We head back to the pier that the Yakuza now run and shut it down for good. I use my skills as an electrician to ask this guy how to open the door, and on the other side we find SHIELD agents. I've never been a fan of reusing areas, and this feels so much like a filler mission. I find a hostage with a bomb strapped to him and try to defuse it, and he explodes. Oops. Then I shoot the guy that rigged up the bomb on accident. Fuck. I choke this guy and find out it's his birthday.
Birthday!
Last one.
That was cold, Frank. This was a filler mission. We get to the end and Frank says SHIELD can deal with the rest. On past interrogations, we have heard that the Gucci's use a meat packing plant to move their drugs. The Yakuza are heading that operation. So Frank wants to hit both sides at once, stopping the Yakuza and shutting down the operation. Coming in, our goal is to find 5 meat plant workers that are being held hostage. I find a Gnucci and convince him to join me and help clear out the Yakuza. This is fun, Frank teaming up with the few surviving Gnucci's to save their operation. After saving the hostages, one of the workers drops down a ladder to get into the next packing area. The only real useful we get from informants this mission is that the original leader of the Yakuza is in seclusion and that Jigsaw is now in charge. Other than that, this mission is also just filler. We stop by Lucky's bar to meet our informant again. He's found out that Jigsaw is John Saint. Saint is the man who killed Castle's family, and Frank thought he was dead after he punished him with a claymore. The explosion sent Saint through a window, scarring his face badly, leading to many just calling him Jigsaw. Jigsaw wants Castle dead and is willing to go after Stark Tech to make sure that this happens. John Saint is another connection to the 2004 movie. John is the one who kills his family in the movie there as well. Castle heads to Stark Industries as a tourist with his neighbor Dave. Why do we keep involving our neighbors? Dave is also in the movie, but it's mostly just him getting his piercings ripped out during an interrogation scene. Well, on our pleasant tour, the Yakuza attack. I take the first White Skull hostage and ask him about his radio, and he says,
Meeting resistance outside section 15.
Very detailed. A good deal of the Yakuza at this point are heavily armored, so it's starting to feel like Endgame. I cut my way through the fodder, have a helicopter fight where this guy knows I'm there. Fight's simple, shoot chopper with rockets. This took me a few tries just because it does a fuck ton of damage to me. And leather isn't bulletproof. After blowing up the chopper, Iron Man shows up for another cameo. Despite our effort, the Yakuza got away with some blueprints for armor. This brings us to the Takagi Building. And we have come full circle. This is the home stretch. Frank plans on killing Takagi and Jigsaw to finish this fight.
Sir, finishing this fight.
Huh, that game actually came out 1 year before this. This mission is actually pretty challenging. There are a lot of white armored enemies and they have really good aim and a lot of health. But this mission is simple. Get to the penthouse. But upon getting there, Takagi wants to talk.
Mr. Castle, I have much to tell you before I depart.
Don't plan a long trip.
You have reached the heart of my empire, but it is mine no longer. The man known as Jigsaw has taken it away from me. Jigsaw has used us both. You, he has used to weaken the Kingpin's criminal empire. Me, he has used the power I foolishly granted him to advance within my organization, winning over my employees to his purposes.
What purposes?
To control all crime within New York City, and to kill you at all costs.
And you know where he is now?
On his way to Ryker's Island prison, an anonymous tip was placed to the police.
Seems to solve your problem.
He will not be imprisoned long. Plans are underway to free him. He has won. The Eternal Sun is his. I have a few loyal employees left. But it is your help I seek.
This is another thing that's actually really cool. Killing Takagi with his sword, as he asks, will have his bodyguards commit seppuku. Attacking him otherwise will have them attack you. This whole thing was a trap by Jigsaw, to get you to kill Takagi and have the underlings kill you. There is one henchman in this room, with a white skull. I ask him kindly how to get out, and he tells me of a secret passage in Takagi's office. Then waves of armored soldiers begin to swarm. This is never ending. The game will keep throwing them at you until you find the key in the secret door. After finding the door, you have to survive 4 minutes. Fighting through the secret corridor, we find an emergency elevator that leads to the ground floor, leading back into the intro cinematic. But this one is a little different.
to do. Takagi's taken care of, but others are harder to reach.
Don't do anything stupid.
Hey, let me through. I'm the Punisher task force. Come on, please. You're embarrassing me here.
Remember, Rikers.
Yeah, I remember.
6 hours of this and we're right back where we started.
I really like this line. 6 hours of this and we're right back where we started. Because the game on easy is about 6 to 8 hours long, so she's feeling just as the player is right now. Frank is a man with a plan. I guess I didn't point this out before. Before the last mission, Soap knocks over a folder. When he goes to pick it up, you can see Castle's hand shift to that side. As I said before, our informant looked and sounded a lot like Soap. And with this alteration to the intro video, the plan all comes together. And Frank is here to finish off the man who killed his family. For real this time. I enjoy this mission quite a bit, mostly because of the interactions between the guards and Castle, as they show him respect, thanking him, and more often than not, arming him. Most of the police force never wanted to catch the Punisher. He was doing the work that they couldn't. It is why Soap was actually put in charge of the Punisher task force, because he was considered incompetent, and no one believed that he would ever catch Frank. The Eternal Sons have attacked, and this causes a prison riot. The main enemies for this mission are the prisoners. This is a high security prison, so these are some horrible people, and Castle has no problem being the judge and executioner. I asked this guy who started the riot as we clean his toilet together. He tells you that it was Jigsaw himself. We meet Ronnie the Ripper, who asks us to let him out. He is willing to trade information on a weapon stash nearby. Thanks, Ronnie. This interrogation is interesting because it is the only one that I can recall that you're focusing more on Frank and not the person you're torturing. I'm assuming that hanging was just way too close to home for some people and they cut it. I pressed this guy's clothes for him. I give this guy a haircut. Looks like I took a little too much off the top. Getting to the warden's offices, we are back to heavily armed and armored Eternal Sons, who rip me apart. One of the Sons tells me that Jigsaw has given the order to regroup on the roof, so that's where we are heading. They also say that he has plans on holding the warden hostage. I think this is just like a continuity thing because when we reach the roof, Jigsaw tosses Soap on the ground for us, and we have our final boss fight. Jigsaw has the Stark Tech armor, which is bulletproof. Castle suggests that the jetpack is a weak point. After disabling it, Jigsaw drops the roof. This took me a little while to figure out how to beat after finding these trip mines. He can't take damage, he doesn't take any damage to headshots, and after finding these trip mines, you figure out that you can throw near Jigsaw, and this is the only way to hurt him. They are dropped by henchmen and spawn next to one of the doorways that the henchmen spawn in. And that's all she wrote.
Hey, how about a little help here? Please?
Jigsaw! This is Captain Vitelli. The chopper's almost here. Just be patient.
So, what are you gonna do with Jigsaw?
Kill him.
Oh, please don't do that. I'll catch so much shit. He's in police custody.
Not yet, he isn't.
Jigsaw!
Chopper's here, Jigsaw! Release your hostage and you're free to go! You have my word! Jigsaw! This is not the deal! Release the hostage!
Released into your custody.
credits scene, but we never got another game, so it doesn't really matter. The game came out with mixed reviews, mostly because of the controversy around the interrogations. But people who played the game because they were fans appreciated how true this game stayed to the comics. The UK asked for more cuts and zooms from the interrogations, making The Punisher one of the only games to need to have cuts to make the UK's 18 rating. Australia asked for the same things and removed 2 scenes altogether. Germany... Wait. Really? Germany had the game placed on the Federal Department for Media Harmful to Young Persons list. The game sold somewhere around 1 million copies, and was profitable for Volition, while also inspiring them to go on to make one of their most notable franchises, Saints Row. I also went back and tried some of the challenges to unlock the cheats in the skins, but they are so fucking hard. Like, you have to be perfect to the millisecond to finish some of the timed ones. So, is the game as good as I remember? Is it worth playing? Yes and yes. This game is still an amazing piece of gaming history, as well as being well before its time. And above all, it's just a fun game. The devs went with the rule of cool, and it shows over and over. If you have an old copy, go dust off your PS2 and boot it up. Or go emulate it. The game will send you back to a simpler time when you were just there to cause chaos. And with that, I'd like to leave you with one thing to think about.
You know the difference between justice and punishment.
What? What?